All the world holds dear is but a backdrop of constant motion. I stand before it, alone and unchanging.
Uncle Tian, we're here to chat with you.
Oh? What a lovely surprise. Welcome. Oishi, why don't you go downstairs and get the shopkeeper to make us a fresh pot of tea? I heard that you've been traveling all over the place recently. I would very much like to hear your adventure stories. Hoishin told you, didn't she? Don't worry, I'm quite all right. It's just the years gradually catching up with me. As I grow older, I'm starting to find that with many things, though the mind is willing, the flesh is weak. Especially recently, I've noticed a rather drastic drop in my energy levels. I am still very much in good standing as the Tianshu today. Nevertheless, I wish to pass on the position before my mental acuity begins to decline beyond redemption.
How difficult is it to transfer the Tianshu position.
Oh, well, you see, the Tianshu is a rather unique position among the Liyue Qixing. Historically speaking, the Tianshu rarely appears in public. We stay behind the scenes. We also want to keep any prospective Tianshu candidates free from influence by outside forces, so we tend to be as discreet as possible in their assessment and appointment. For these reasons, the incumbent Tianshu typically recommends their candidate of choice, and this is then approved by the other Qixing members.
So in other words, you pick someone, and then Lady Keqing, Lady Ningguang, and the other Qixing appoint them?
Correct. Unfortunately, due to my health, I won't be able to assess every candidate myself. Not to despair, however, because I found someone exceptionally capable to act on my behalf as assessment officer. In fact, I believe you recently became acquainted with her yourself.
Oh? Who is it?
I'm heartbroken. I thought it might take you a little longer than this to forget all about me.
It's Yelan!
Jackpot. Uncle Tian here asked me to assess 3 candidates for him. Fancy joining me? You'll be among the first to get to know the next Tianshu. Might be a good opportunity for you.
What do you think? Paimon thinks so too. It can't be a bad thing to be on good terms with a new Qixing, right?
All right then. Though, I gotta say, Uncle Tian, you say you're into behind-the-scenes planning? My work's of the covert variety, too. Don't you think I might make a good Tianshu?
Huh? Yelan, you want to be...
I'm not opposed to the idea, but I suspect Ningguang wouldn't let you go very easily after how long you've been working together. So, how about this? If your investigation reveals that none of the other candidates are qualified for the position, I'll recommend you for the job.
Deal. Well, you guys take your time. Everything's all set for the assessments to go ahead. Meet me on the first floor when you're ready. Until then, have a pleasant conversation. Oh, and no need to pay for your tea. As the new owner of this fine establishment, this runs on the house. You're all set?
Uncle Tian seems really worn down.
Yeah, it may sound... So he's recommended 3 candidates. Xinwei is a wealthy entrepreneur. Mingbo works at the Liyue Ministry of Civil Affairs. And Zhi is focused on study and travel. Try to keep all that in mind. Of course, it doesn't really matter if you forget, since we'll be assessing them at Yuehai Pavilion in a short while.
Qianwei, Mingbo, Zhi. Paimon should be able to remember their names, but what does the assessment involve exactly?
Let's leave that until we get to Yuehai Pavilion. All right. Heads in the game, people. The stakes don't get much higher than a change in the Qixing. We can't afford to miss anything, no matter how small.
Got it. We'll keep our eyes wide open.
My legs are getting sore. What is wrong with this assessment officer? This is a huge occasion and I don't even get a chair. I've dealt with all kinds of people in my time, but never have I been made to stand while I'm waiting for an appointment.
Oh, I think it's fine.
That's called being complacent. If you're happy to just accept the way things are, you'll never be able to change anything in the future.
Oh, come on. That's just... Now you're just... being
All right, you two. Let's not get into a big argument over this. It's not worth it. Qianwei, that was a bit uncalled for. And Mingbo, cut him some slack. We've all been standing around for a while. It's natural to be getting irritable. Look, how about this? There's no rule saying we're obliged to stand up while we wait, so why don't we borrow some chairs from the guild nearby?
Fine. They're not the best quality chairs, to be sure. But under the circumstances, it would be better than nothing.
It looks like all 3 candidates have arrived. We'll meet them formally soon. Before that, let me run you through the assessment process. I've split it into 2 stages: current affairs and planning, and face-to-face interview. In the first stage, candidates are required to submit a manifesto for Liyue's development. In the second stage, we will ask them some questions in person. Writing a manifesto takes time, so I informed them of this requirement in advance. These are the reports they submitted.
Wow. One of them is really...
It's also worth mentioning a stipulation I gave them. Whoever is appointed as the new Tianshu will be expected to implement their plan as put forward in their manifesto. Failing the occurrence of some cataclysmic event, they will not be permitted to change their plan. Therefore, these 3 piles of documents in front of us represent where each candidate stands on key policy issues. There's still some time. Have a skim through, get a first impression of what each person's proposing. I'll be waiting off to the side. Just let me know when you're done. Finished, huh? What did you...
Everyone took it very serious.
Of course they did. They have the chance to be picked as the new Tianshu, so you can bet they're putting their best foot forward. And keep in mind, whoever gets in has to execute their plan as written. Nobody wants to have any regrets. That's for me to know and you to find out. We can talk more after the interviews. We'll see the candidates now. Let's do one at a time. Start with Chenwei.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh? So you 2 are the assessment officers, are you? I had assumed that given the great import of this situation, Lady Ningguang would perhaps be assessing us in person. I certainly hadn't imagined I'd be seeing 2 entirely unfamiliar faces. I trust you've read through my manifesto? I'd be more than happy to clarify any details you found difficult to grasp. It was written with an expert audience in mind, after all.
Mind your tone, mister.
Relax. It wasn't intended as a personal slight against anyone in particular. I was simply stating a fact. Cloud Retainer? You know this Adeptus? Oh, yes, I remember now. You must, with your sterling reputation, you must have a respectable level of erudition. Perhaps you will be able to understand the concepts I have put forward. Yeah, although I shouldn't get my hopes up.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes. Please, introduce yourself.
I'm, Mingbo. I work in the Ministry of Civil Affairs. I've worked there for, 9 years, 5 months, and 3 days. In that, I have 12 active cases at the moment, They should be concluded in, 16 days? My current work is related to urban planning, and I'm also responsible for, auditing the accounts. To be more precise, there are 3 parts to the accounts, namely...
Is it just Paimon, or...
You know what? Let's leave the self-introduction there and move on to some questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Hello. Not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little nervous. What would you like to know? You're here to assess me, so ask away and I'll answer your questions.
Your manifesto is very wide in its scope, but you don't seem to be personally involved in many of the specific fields. How can you be sure that you have the ability to put your plan into action?
Very fair question. I completely understand where you're coming from, but I'm confident in my plan. I've visited many different places, talked to lots of people with far more expertise than myself, and my manifesto is the conclusion of these efforts. Of course, 2 different problems can be interconnected in very complicated ways, and you might reach 2 very contradictory conclusions depending on which one you're focusing on.
How do you plan to determine whether you are right or wrong about your proposed solution being the...
A great question. Well, I'd start by having my colleagues and the secretaries of the Yuehai Pavilion evaluate any proposals before implementation. Post-implementation, it would all come down to if it turned out that my judgment was to blame for poor results.
Nice answer. All right, next question.
He seems like a great guy. Everything he said was thoughtful and logical, and he was just a pleasure to listen to.
Here's my take on what we just learned. As you saw, Qianwei is highly knowledgeable. He proposes many excellent ideas in his manifesto, which effectively target the big issues. But he is very proud and incredibly stubborn. He doesn't care much about other people's feelings. Mingbo's plan is more thorough and more measured. You can tell he's meticulous in his work, very detail-oriented. But he and Qianwei are otherwise polar opposites. Mingbo is not very articulate and comes across as very timid in conversation.
Perfect summary. Paimon couldn't agree more. You're good at this, Yewan.
Last but not least, Zhi. His manifesto is full of pertinent details, his methodology is sound, and his proposals cover a broad range of fields, which is quite a rare feat. The depth he goes into in each and every area means it can only be a product of painstaking work. Plus, he is modest and good. But what really interests me is that many of his views happen to coincide with Uncle Tien's. Having someone like Zhi take the position would certainly put Uncle Tien's mind at rest.
Great!
We'll see. Let's go back and report to... All right, then let me ask this. The ideas in Zhi's manifesto are very similar to your own.
Oh, I didn't want to say anything when I gave you the list of candidates, for fear of affecting your judgment. Those 3 candidates have all studied under me in the past. It's only natural that they share some similarities with me. But Qianwei went on to focus on his business, and Mingbo has always been occupied with his work at the Ministry of Civil Affairs.
Whoa! So how did you get to know them all, Uncle Tien?
Qianwei was referred to me by an old friend. Mingbo came to my attention in the course of my work. As for Zhi, that was pure happenstance. We first met while fishing. Gradually, as we got to know each other, Zhi came from a poor family, and his parents died when he was very young. But he was a gifted student. He reminded me of a younger version of myself. So I started out giving him a few words of advice when we were out fishing and noticed how quickly he got on. Quite. And now, all of a sudden, he's grown into a mature young man. It's a joy to see. The young are growing up and...
I don't know, Uncle Tian. You still seem in pretty good shape to me. You might have another few years of work left in you, don't you think?
Oh, you. There's really no need to console me. Having less energy than I used to isn't such a bad thing. It just means I finally have a good reason to retire and spend my days doing what old...
Sounds like you sure love fishing, Uncle Tian.
Ooh, there's nothing quite like fishing to pass the time. Ooh, and fresh...
Fresh fish soup. Sounds tasty.
Doesn't it? Also, some time ago, Juri purchased a very special recipe. When we've been fishing recently, Juri always brings some extra ingredients he prepared in fact. That flavor makes for a fond memory. But it...
Oh, can Paimon come next time too? Paimon really wants to try it.
Let's get back to the matter at hand. Uncle Tian, we've reported back. Do you have a verdict?
Mm-hmm. I appointed you as the assessment officer. Had you not asked me why Juri's ideas were so similar to mine, I was not going to mention my history with any of them. This decision must be guided by what is fair. Remember, you must be thorough.
Understood. Come on, let's go talk somewhere else.
Bye-bye, Uncle Tian. Look after yourself. So, it's gonna... His manifesto was written well, and he's the best...
Easy. Let's not rush. There's no
Huh? So, are you...
No, nothing like that. The assessment itself is complete. But let me give you a word of advice. The biggest no-no in intelligence work is to only get information from the person of For example... Wenyuan, Shanghua.
Yes?
Lady Yelan, what are your orders?
Ugh! Who are they? Where did they come...
Did they scare you? These two are Wenyuan and Shanghua. They work for me. As my trusted assistants, they are always standing guard nearby. Shanghua is a business expert who gets his information by trading. Wenyuan relies...
That meathead must have been out there on sea surveillance for some time now. Is he all right? I seem to remember that he can't swim.
Nothing can take that guy down.
Shanghua, visit all the commerce guilds and look into Qianwei's background. When you...
Yes, ma'am.
So what about Juri?
Juri, well, obviously as the most promising candidate. Let's go to the docks first.
If we're looking for information, he does business at the North Wharf.
That's...
Huh? What's Polite doing here today?
Look, you're asking price. Come on! I accidentally dropped one into a well, and even the water turned sweet. Even so... Alright. I'll let you in on a little secret. The boss of Second Life also wants to buy from me, but I haven't responded yet. If you won't take him, I'll just have to partner with them instead. And neither of them...
Okay, well, when you put it that way... Oh, what are you doing here? And to be clear, these Sunsettias are mine. I got to them first. Don't get any ideas.
Actually, we want to ask you about a guy called Juri. Have you heard of him before?
Juri? Yes, he's quite well known. I've heard a story about him. They say he was born into poverty. His parents died when he was young, and he was treated cruelly by the local community. One of his neighbors was terribly rude to him all the time, but Juri never retaliated. And when his neighbor went bankrupt, he even helped support the family. He returned cruelty with kindness, injustice with peace offerings. A gentleman of talent and character.
Oh, he sounds like a decent man. We can finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Why are you asking about him anyway? You are... Well then, in that case, the higher bidder takes the... Ah, that's Juri right over there. Why don't we go and talk to him?
Where? Where?
It's him, all right. Looks like he's chatting with Linglong. Come on, let's follow them and listen in. Try not to let him see you.
I'll just go and fetch an employment contract. And hey, don't try and cut me out of this.
I understand. Let's walk and talk. So, you were looking to buy a wineware?
What's the hurry? Don't get too close, or he'll see you. Try not to let him see you.
I understand. Let's walk and talk.
My friend, what can I do?
So, you were looking to buy a wineware set? Oh, now I can see that you're a connoisseur, so I won't bother trying to con you. I trust you understand our shop quite well?
What's the hurry? Don't get too close, or he'll see you. Try not to let him see you.
I understand. Let's walk and talk. So, you were looking to buy a wineware set? Oh, now I can see that you're a connoisseur, so I won't bother trying to con you. I trust you understand our shop quite well?
The truth is, an old friend of mine, who likes to have a drink now and then, he fancies himself as a man of culture, but doesn't care for needless extravagance. So I thought I might buy him a set of high-quality fakes.
How very thoughtful of you. Leave it to me, then. Come and collect it at Shigu Antiques whenever is convenient.
Thank you very much, Miss Linlong.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Juri. These days, it's quite rare for someone of your standing.
What are you waiting for? You won't hear anything at this rate.
I'll be sure to pick out a good set for you. You can count on me.
Try not to let him see.
I understand. Let's walk and talk.
My friend, what can I do?
So, you were looking to buy a wineware set? Oh, now I can see that you're a connoisseur, so I won't bother trying to con you. I trust you understand our shop quite well?
The truth is, an old friend of mine, who likes to have a drink now and then, he fancies himself as a man of culture, but doesn't care for needless extravagance. So I thought I might buy him a set of high-quality fakes.
How very thoughtful of you. Leave it to me, then. Come and collect it at Shigu Antiques whenever is convenient.
Thank you very much, Miss Linlong.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Juri. These days, it's quite rare for someone of your standing to still keep up with their old friends. It's nice to see. I'll be sure to pick out a good set for you. You can count on me. Juri seems to get along really well with everyone. Are you satisfied now, Yelan?
We shouldn't jump to conclusions just yet.
Wait, you're not just trying to dig up some dirt on Juri because you want to be Tianchu yourself, are you?
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. But hey, if I do become Tianshu, I'll look out for you guys. You'll be able to try all the finest food for free. How does that sound?
We will? Well, come on! Off to the South Wharf we go!
The wharf is as... I hear the anglers here sometimes sell their fish to the near...
Welcome. What would you like to buy today?
Sorry to interrupt. We're actually members of the, Liyue Anglers Association, and we've heard about this young man called Zhi, who's supposed to be a fantastic fisherman. Just wondering if you happen to...
Whoa! Yeon made up a whole fake identity. Without
Yes, Zhi. He's been making quite a name for himself recently. I've got some friends who travel all over the place, and they tell me everywhere they go they meet someone who's heard of him. Apparently, he had a rather tough time growing up. Had to work several jobs alongside his studies to make ends meet. How does that saying go? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, we think so too.
But I'm afraid your Anglers Association might be in for a disappointment.
Oh? Why is that?
He's good at a lot of things, but fishing isn't one of them. He fishes at the wharf and sells what he catches to me on occasion. His catches are always mediocre. Not terrible, but equally nothing to write home about. If you're looking to recruit some new members, though, I do know a few top anglers I could put you in touch with.
That sounds fantastic. I've got a couple of other things to attend to right now, though, so why don't I come back some other time and we can chat over a drink?
Sure thing. See you.
Everywhere they go, they meet someone who's heard of him. Come on, let's keep asking around.
Here to buy some fish? It's 300 for one or 3 for 1,000. You better hurry. When they're gone,
Hello, we're from the Society for Fish Price Research. We'd just like to...
Wow, she switched...
Society for Fish Price
Please, don't worry. We've heard about a certain Zhi who's been selling fresh fish at low prices in this area recently. Do you know...
So this isn't about me. You should have said something, you know. I know the guy. I haven't heard anything about him selling fresh fish at low prices, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was him.
Oh? What?
Because he's so poor. His parents died when he was very young, and his alcoholic father still owed a huge amount of debt. No one wanted anything to do with him. He was still a kid when he first came to the wharf. His clothes were ragged, and he had a bandage, and he managed to survive, thanks to Uncle Tien, who gave him some food. But still to this day, he doesn't have a lot of mora to his... I mean, he can afford to eat and everything, but you'll often see him haggling with others over just a few mora. So, I wouldn't be surprised to find it's not like he catches much anyway, so it's not going to affect my business.
You'd rather he didn't...
Well, I spoke to him once, briefly, and I just had a feeling that he really cares what other people think of him. I think he has pretty low self-esteem. But hey, it's hardly my place to say anything. Nobody's perfect.
I see. Well...
Not a problem. And just for the record...
The more times you say it, the less convincing it becomes.
Doesn't have a lot of mora to it.
Hey, it's you guys! Wait, what's the phrase? Oh yeah, honored to meet you. What brings you?
The truth is...
Really? People's...
But of course. We also heard that Master Dooku is a kind and virtuous swordsman.
Great! So what do you wish to know? Nothing happened.
Now she's like...
So, Master Dooku, have you...
Sure have. You mean that guy that all the grown-ups are talking about these days? I've heard many tales of Juri. Probably because it's nothing that important. I prefer story...
Oh, I can completely understand that. Then let me ask you this. Do you remember rough...
Oh yeah, I know that. It was about 2 or 3 months ago. Before that, people always used to talk about Juri in a kind of nasty tone of voice. But 2 or 3... Sometimes he gives me candies. So I'm glad that people are starting to like him now.
Just as I thought.
Huh? What?
I mean, just as I thought, Master Dooku...
Oh yeah, one other thing. These days, there's a lot of people I've never seen before talking about Juri stories in the street. They seem like nice people.
Oh,
great! So next time I see them, I'll say hi.
Certainly. You can also tell my friend in Yenshang Tea House about what they're up to. I'm sure my friend would also like to say hi to them.
Thank you,
You're welcome. Well then, fare thee well, Master Dooku.
Until we meet again.
Any of that sound strange to you?
Strange? Well, Juri seems to have a great reputation. Uncle Soon and Uncle...
True. But the issue is, where did his sudden celebrity come from?
Sudden?
So he returns cruelty with kindness, and had to work to support his studies. These are the kinds of things that make someone well known in their hometown. Do you remember what Doogu Shuo said about Jur-E's stories? Clearly, plus, there's the fact that all this praise of Jur-E has only been happening with his childhood, his studies, the thing with his name.
When you put it like that, it is kind...
Of course, if that's all there was to it, I would... Jur-E was born into a poor family. The problem is, do you remember... Right, and that changes everything. That's the worst case scenario. But all too often, the most pessimistic speculation...
Someone's trying to gain influence over the Qixing? That sounds... Even if we asked Juri about it...
First, we need to find out who's supporting him. Remember the current affairs and planning stage of the assessment? Since the successful candidate is duty-bound to implement their plan, whoever is secretly helping Jur-E must be seeking to benefit from his actions after his appointment. So, come on, let's get back to Yenshang Tea House. Jur-E's manifesto covers a huge range of topics. I'll divide the reports into 2 piles. You take one. Officially, the assessment is already over, and I'll be expected to announce the results before...
Yikes! We better hurry!
Whatever else Uncle Tien might think of Jur-E, the fact remains that he's one of his favorite students. Any evidence he's left is not going to be immediately obvious.
Even though Yelan... Well, we gotta... Oh, this reading it.
Looks like I'm the first one back, as usual.
Oh, hey! It's one of Yelan's little helpers! If you're back, that means...
You betcha. I visited all the commerce guilds and gathered a wealth of information. Every time they asked me to leave, but I always had another trick up my sleeve.
Don't drag this out. Just tell us your...
Yes, Lady Yelan. To summarize my findings, most people who've had interactions with Qianwei will start out complaining about how proud and arrogant he is. The young master of the Feiyun Commerce Guild said that Qianwei appears arrogant, but he's very scrupulous in the way he works. Once he signs a contract with somebody, he treats them fairly regardless of their background.
Who'd have thought?
Is it possible that his reputation is fake? Is there any way you can check the accounts of the businesses under his name?
In theory, that should be very difficult. But here's the thing. I asked around and found out that almost all of Qianwei's accounts are open to the public. Where he buys from and sells to should be confidential business information, but he doesn't seem interested in protecting it at all. Qianwei often sees business opportunities that others don't, but once he's made enough mora off of it, it's like he gets sick of it and releases all of his trade secrets. It's like he wants people to know that they still can't beat him, even if he shares all of his secrets. The fact that someone like that can still make mora is pretty infuriating.
What a strange guy. It's like he's not doing business to make mora, but
to validate his theories. No wonder his manifesto contains so many insights. It's all the result of his first-hand experimentation.
I'm back! Huh? Why do you think? Obviously, because I possess superior skills.
You... Ugh, whatever. I'm not getting into an argument with you. If I hadn't had something... Lady Yelan, I have finished investigating...
Well, we're all ears.
The Ministry of Civil Affairs says that Mingbois struggles to get his words out when he gets nervous, especially when he's chatting with strangers. But after a few days of getting to know him, you can pretty much have a normal conversation with him. On the whole, the feedback from the Ministry of Civil Affairs was very positive.
In your opinion, was the Ministry of Civil Affairs' appraisal of Mingbois at all exaggerated?
I don't believe so. Mingbois is someone who has slowly but surely earned the reputation he has today. According to Miss Yu, the Ministry often gets Mingbois to take a final look at projects before they're implemented. People feel much more confident in something if it has his stamp of approval. Oh, and also, there was once someone in the Ministry who was lying and cheating to try to advance their career. Mingbois gave them the scolding of a lifetime. Apparently, he can be terrifying when he loses his temper. I haven't seen it for myself, though.
whoa, that's hard.
Like I said before, things are not always as they appear.
Ah, so that's what you meant by that. I'm starting to get it.
Thank you both. You're free to go now. So, have you finished reading the manifesto?
We still have a...
I can't see any immediate problems looking at the individual. The only one that strikes me as a little unusual is the Cheungshu Pool redevelopment plan. Cheungshu Pool has always been home to many secrets. Plus, Ajdaha once wrought havoc there, at some point, a long time ago.
So, did they find...
None. The ruin was completely impenetrable. The technology wasn't mature enough at that time. Jur-E's manifest... Still, this one fact alone doesn't tell us much. Everyone wants to get their hands on this treasure. The treasure hoarders, the Fatui, even though... Did you find an...
Excavation? Project? Treasure? Did we read anything similar in... Oh, yeah! Juri said the Blackcliff Forge workers should get right of first refusal if any...
Did he now? Well, that makes everything much clearer. So Jur-E wants the Blackcliff...
Does that mean the Blackcliff Forge is Juri's secret supporter?
No, not likely. I've looked into the Blackcliff Forge before. They do possess some specialized explosives. Still, since the clues are pointing to...
Shenwei and Mingbo both turned out to be completely different than what we thought. What about Juri? Is there another side to him too?
This is the Blackcliff Forge. Let's look around for clues.
What's this?
From the back, it looks like a ledger. But it seems they also use it as a site log. We don't know who wrote it, but it's interesting, don't you think?
You think they're suspicious?
Yes. At this rate, by the time the Qingshu Pool redevelopment plan is ready to roll, that'll give them the chance to take a lot of liberties. They can copy any secret texts or steal any treasure. Imagine if we didn't suspect anything. By the time Jur-E recommends the... No red flags if all they did was change some key staff. And even if we decided to vet the staff that's the advantage of planning this far in advance.
When you put it like that, it all makes sense. So, who's really behind?
That's a question for the newcomers. But let's start with that worker over there for now.
Excuse us. We want to ask you about the newcomers.
You want them to teach you or something? I gotta say, these newcomers are in tip-top shape. Fast learners, too. They're picking up all the skills My only complaint is that they're always going out drinking at night. But they never let us join them. I guess they just need some time to adjust.
They go out drinking. This area isn't exactly renowned for the nightlife. I'm guessing it's a long trip to the nearest tavern.
You got that right. They tell me they go all the way back to Liyue Harbor to drink at Wanmin Rest. It rained after work today, so they actually stuck around at the site for a while. But as soon as the rain stopped, they went out. Hey, you're only young once, right? I say, if they can hack it, let them at it.
Interesting. Let's go talk somewhere else. Looks like our hunch was on the Mora. These newcomers are very drinking in Liyue Harbor, huh? Some cover story. Good thing it rained today. It means they'll leave footprints.
They went that way! Hurry, we gotta catch up! These footprints are heading towards Liyue Harbor. Maybe we were wrong about them.
Just as I thought. They didn't go to Liyue Harbor. They went that way. The footprints stopped, but, judging from the direction, I'm guessing their destination was that abandoned house. Looks like we were too late. This has gotta be where the newcomers rendezvous with whoever they're working for. Look at these ashes. Someone...
Could there be anything left? Maybe the wind could have blown the fire.
The odds of that are very slim. It's practically impossible.
Why don't we wait for them back at the Black Cliff Forge? They've gotta go back there sooner or later.
We can't count on that. Clearly they were based here at one point, but it's mysteriously abandoned. To me, that says that whoever's behind this has moved them somewhere else to throw.
Darn! Guess this is where
Make no mistake, the purpose of our trip wasn't to find any solid evidence. We just need to figure out who's behind Jur-E. I smelled something peculiar the moment I came in. Those newcomers probably thought they'd be safe as long as they burned the letters. But what they failed to consider is that paper and ink from different regions produce different odors when they're burned.
Really?
I can't smell anything. Do you smell anything?
There is a certain place with a freezing cold climate where there's nothing but ice, as some wealthy people there put floral fragrance in their ink as a way of injecting a little romance into their writing. When that fragrant ink is burned, this is the exact odor that it leaves behind. Exactly. The evidence will soon be blown away by the wind, so it's nothing we can arrest anyone with. But it's all I need. Now I know who we're dealing with. I can plan our next move.
Lady Yelan! Oh, thank goodness I finally found you. I thought I'd never see you again.
Who are you?
Don't be alarmed. This is Upei. He's Wenyuan and Shanghua's colleague. I sent him to look into Zhi-Yi's regular contacts. Since Zhi-Yi likes fishing, Upei thought he might know some of the fishermen and sailors. I left him a note at Yanshang Tea House telling him to look for me at Blackcliff Forge when he got back. So, what did you find out at sea?
Forgive my incompetence. I'm afraid I've come up empty-handed. I asked all the fishermen multiple times, but none of them had any interactions with Zhi-Yi before. Then the waves got so choppy I ended up falling overboard. Fortunately, someone managed to drag me out. When I got back, I heard that you'd gone to Blackcliff Forge.
Well, Uncle Tien said that Zhi-Yi once bought a recipe from one of the fishermen. Did you hear anything about that?
What? No, that's not possible. It's absolutely not possible. Lady Yelan, I'm telling you, I spoke to every single fisherman out there, and none of them mentioned anything about a recipe.
Interesting. Then I wonder how that even more wonderful fish soup came about.
Fish soup?
Nothing. Our priority right now is to find a way to get our hands on some solid evidence. Well, any suggestions? Not a bad idea. Upei, what do you think?
Honestly, I've already tried following Zhi-Yi, but the guy's too cautious. Never meets with anyone suspicious.
Okay, so...
No, we'll still need to tail him. But first, we need to do some groundwork.
Groundwork?
When you've worked in intelligence for a long time, you'll understand that no one can stay on high alert forever. Especially when he thinks he's about to win. Tomorrow morning, I'll announce his victory at Yuehai Pavilion. Take a guess what you think he'll do next. Be sure to arrive on time. You won't want to miss the show.